All right, let's dive into something that's, well, it's a little strange, but also surprisingly common. We're going to try and unravel the whole mystery of trypophobia. You know, that feeling of why certain patterns of holes can just make your skin crawl. Okay, so take a look at this. I mean, it's just a lotus seed pod, right? But for a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, looking at an image like this triggers a really uncomfortable, almost gut level reaction. Maybe you're feeling it right now. That that sense of unease or disgust or just, yeah, the creeps. And that is the big question we're digging into. Why? I mean, think about it. It's not dangerous. It's not threatening in any way. So why on earth does our brain sometimes react so strongly to something as totally harmless as a pattern of holes? Let's investigate. Okay, first things first. Before we get any deeper, we got to put a name to this feeling. Let's start with how science actually defines this whole thing. The official term is trypophobia, and it makes sense, right? It comes from the Greek words tripa, for hole, and phobos, for fear. But here's the thing, and this is important. As we're about to find out, fear might not be the best word for it. It's really more of a powerful aversion, like a deep, gut-level feeling of disgust. And what's really wild is just how common these patterns are, in our everyday lives. I mean, look at this list. Some of the most common triggers are completely ordinary things. We're talking honeycombs, strawberries, even a piece of Swiss cheese. Once you start looking, you realize these patterns are literally everywhere. Now, here's a really crucial point. Despite having phobia in its name, trypophobia isn't actually recognized as an official phobia in, the big diagnostic manual, the DSM-5. And you might be asking, why not? Well, it's because real phobias are all about intense fear. But trypophobia, for most people, it's overwhelmingly about disgust. And that little distinction, that's the key to this whole mystery. So, okay, if it's not a classic fear, then what is it? Well, the best clues we have don't come from modern psychology, but from way, way back, from our deep evolutionary past. Let's see what our ancient survival instincts have to say about all this. Right now, scientists have pretty much landed on two main hypotheses, and you can see them here side by side. Theory number one, these patterns remind our ancient lizard brain of dangerous animals, like the skin of a venomous snake or a blue-ringed octopus. But theory number two, which is a bit more recent, suggests these patterns look like something else, something our ancestors really, really needed to avoid: disease. So let's break down that first idea for a second. The logic is pretty simple, right? Our ancestors who had that super quick, whoa, get away from that pattern instinct, well, they were just more likely to survive an encounter with something poisonous. That response would have been passed down through generations, and what we have today is basically just a leftover alarm system. But then there's the second hypothesis, and this one connects right back to that key emotion we mentioned earlier, disgust. And disgust is an incredibly powerful survival tool. It's the emotion that screams at you not to eat rotten food or touch something gross and contaminated. So the idea here is that trypophobia is just a specific version of that, a built-in instinct to pull back from things that look like they could make you sick. And you can totally see the logic here, can't you? For most of human history, diseases that showed up on your skin were a huge, huge threat. We're talking about things like smallpox, measles, leprosy, all kinds of parasites. They created these patterns of bumps and sores and holes. Having a gut instinct to stay far, far away from anyone showing those signs, that would have been a massive survival advantage. Okay, so we've got our two competing theories. Is it about avoiding poisonous animals, or is it about avoiding disease? Which one does the actual evidence point to? Let's get to the scientific verdict. Well, a lot of recent research, like this quote here from a team at Florida Gulf Coast University, is pointing overwhelmingly in one direction. It's looking like it's not a fear of snakes, it's an overgeneralization of our instinct to avoid disease. But what in the world does overgeneralization actually mean? This breaks it down perfectly. The best way to think about it is like a smoke detector. So, step one, your brain evolved a system to spot signs of disease on skin, right? A real threat. Step two, that system triggers the emotion of disgust to make you stay away and protect yourself. But, and here's the key in steps 3 and 4, in some people, that system is just hypersensitive. It's overgeneralized. It's like a smoke detector that goes off every time you burn the toast. Your brain is reacting to a totally harmless lotus pod as if it were a real threat of disease. It's a false alarm. And this, right here, is some of the key evidence. When researchers actually showed people images, they found something absolutely fascinating. So this chart shows that, yeah, pretty much everyone finds pictures of actual skin diseases really uncomfortable.
No surprise there. But here's the kicker. People with strong trypophobia rated the harmless holy patterns as being just as disturbing as the actual disease pictures. Their brain is just not making a distinction between the two.
So, if there's one thing to take away from all the science, it's this. It all comes back to disgust. This isn't some crazy, irrational fear of holes. It's a totally rational, ancient disgust response that's just, a little too trigger happy in some of us.
But hold on. If this is such an ancient instinct, baked into our DNA, why does it feel like such a modern thing? I mean, why are we all suddenly talking about it now? Well, that brings us to our next piece of the puzzle, the role of the internet.
This feeling has probably been around for thousands of years, but it never even had a name until the internet showed up. I mean, look at this timeline. The word trypophobia was basically just made up on a web forum back in 2005. It then took a whole 8 years before the first serious scientific study was published on it. And now, well, thanks to memes and social media, it's a massive online thing. And this is probably the most important thing to understand about the internet's role here. The internet didn't create trypophobia. Not at all. It was the amplifier. It just gave millions of people a name for this weird feeling they'd always had but could never explain. And then it showed them they weren't the only ones. In fact, one study really showed how powerful this effect was. Check out this data. A massive 64% of people who even know the word trypophobia learned about it online. You know how it goes? You're scrolling, you see a meme, you think, that's weird. And then suddenly you have that light bulb moment of, wait a second, that's me? And just like that, something that was an ancient, unconscious, nameless instinct got transformed into this shared, well-known cultural phenomenon. Pretty amazing, all thanks to the power of the internet connecting us all. Okay, so we've covered what it is, where it might have come from evolutionarily, what the science says, and how it blew up online. So let's wrap this all up. What have we really discovered here? So here's the bottom line. That creepy, skin-crawling feeling you might get, it's not some bizarre, irrational fear. You can think of it like a fossil in your own mind. It's a fascinating echo of a super important survival instinct that helped keep our ancestors safe from disease. It's not a bug, it's a feature, one that's just a little overactive for some of us. And that really leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If trypophobia is one of these echoes from our deep past, what other things that we feel today, our anxieties, our fears, our feelings of disgust, are really just ancient survival software running on our modern hardware? What parts of your brain are still, in a way, living back in the Stone Age? It's definitely something to think about.